Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing this evening? Day's going good. Everything's going great. You had a great day at work, or day's not over yet. Hopefully, it's over soon. My name is Digital Dragon, and welcome to the Dragon Den. So this evening, we've done well. Actually, over the past several streams, we've been working on building a printer of the Bugaboo 210. And at the end of last stream, we completed our build with basically a review. Bugaboo 210 was fully built. Actually had some prints going on it. Best prints, because I'm still going through the tuning process, but at first glance, it is pushing plastic. Good. You have some nice lettering on the top, but we also have some cooling issues to address. This is no big deal. I was just pushing way too fast for this particular filament, and it's just a matter of dialing it back down to something more reasonable as far as speeds go. Because what I was doing here is I've got um, a Dragon Ultra High Flow hot end, which is similar to a Volcano, just a single 5015 fan, and I was just overrunning. So I just need to slow that down, and that will out of this mess down here. So we'll continue to do that between this stream and next. The other things I was working on over the last stream is my my Prusa Mark III and one of my bears now have lights installed on them. So I will be able to get cameras going down there and be able to monitor or display different cameras on stream. I do have one more set of the lights to go, and it may go up here on right behind the spool, which you can't see. It may go on the printer that has the MMU2 test unit on it. So we've been printing all of our MMRF logos to take with us in multicolored. Hey, how's it going, everything? Plus Ultra? Doing good, doing good. So I'm just kind of going over some of the things that have happened on last stream and going into this stream. So we do have some Rocky Mountain plates that are going. And like I said, I do have lights. Got two of the lights set up already. I need to set up one more. That'll go up here on the MMU unit so that we can have some better lighting there so that we can actually bring up the cameras. In fact, so we do have one camera going right now on Purple Haze, and that camera will allow us to show off some of the multicolored prints we have going on up there. Hey, Royal Nomi. Hey, Solar 3DP. Thank you all for coming in and joining. So, like I was saying to everybody, I do have lights now for Prusa Mark III down here, as well as the Prusa Mark III Bear. Both the ones down at the bottom have lights. I've got another light kit for Purple Haze, which is the one you're seeing on camera. Once I get that one, print the parts, and then get the actual light itself assembled, it will be like this one where it'll have some additional lighting for it. That will allow me to add some additional cameras to the setup so that we start doing like the Royal Nomi DC thing and start showing like 5, 6, 7 different printers up here as we go flipping around. And then also on stream, or on the last stream, other than the Bugaboo 210, we did an unboxing of the next printer that's sitting up on the bench right now, which is the Prusa Mark 4S. We do have this one sitting up here, and we do have some prints that we printed off on this. And let me tell you, these came out fabulous. I've seen them online as different people were doing their unboxings of these, and I still owe you guys some good pictures on these. I'm trying to hold this at an angle to get some harsh lighting on it. I want to say all of the test models on here were printed at, or sliced at a, I believe, 0.15 layer height. But these are coming out just gorgeous and immaculate. And of course, this is using Prusa's Galaxy Black, and anything that's got a metal flake in it is going to help hide layer lines anyhow. But yeah, just the, sure if I'll be able to get close up. Okay, yeah, see some of the bottom layer lines. I mean, those, once again, this is a, I'll say, take it out of the box, put the spool on it, run through the initial self checks, and just say print. And these prints came out amazing. This is almost a full height print jet engine, or the rocket engine. And then, of course, you have to give homage to the alpaca. So this is the Robo Alpaca model. Once again, this came out flawlessly. It printed with 0 supports and just some brim around the feet to give it a little bit more for adhesion purposes. That brim came off rather well. This came out awesome. So far, this printer's been just amazing with the prints that it's been spitting out. And you do see some car parts on here. So actually, before I get into that, we'll do the, we did print off a couple of Swatch trucks because, well, why not? This is a good test of a couple of things. One, it's a good test of just standard printing capabilities. And it's also a good test of your clearance, how well your tolerances are. By looking at the back of these, we'll be able to tell the difference in the layers. This one, looking at this one, see that first layer goes down really nice and smooth. Get the layer lines themselves to show up. This one is the 0.2 layer heights. And when I pop this off the plate, the 0.3 and 0.2 clearance wheels were moving and rattling right off the plate. And then the 0.1, I just had to basically just grab hold of it and work it just a little bit, and it broke free. And all three were working. This is a 23-minute Swatch truck using default 0.2 layer height standard Mark 4 profile. Then I did one with the standard 0.3 layer height. Once again, the first layer on this just came out beautiful, just gorgeous, no problems. This is show. Probably not, but this is a 0.3 layer height. This is a 16-minute Swatch truck. And like I said, the top layers are awesome on it. The 0.3 and 0.2 wheels were loose right after popping it off the plate. 0.1 was same thing. There was one spot over on the kind of see the way that wheel is setting. So there was one spot up here at the top layer that almost looks like it had fused a bit. But once again, hold the wheel, just rock it a little bit, boom, it snaps. And I've got 3 moving wheels on this Swatch truck. So prints are coming out awesome. The layer lines are fantastic. And the tolerances on the print are awesome. Yep, I went ahead and got the Mark IV, and as soon as it drops, I will get the MMU3, just because I want to compare it to the 2 and how well it works. Apparently, between the MMU2, when it faults, you still have to basically try and decode the LED lights on each lane to try and figure out what's going on and what needs to be done to fix or resolve whatever the issue is. So far on mine, we just do that. So far on Purple Haze here in MMU2S, biggest issues I've had are just the humidity that's in this particular room of the house, because I'm rocking, it's actually a good day today. So we're at 30% or 37% humidity. The other day it was about 45. And, it's fairly high humidity. So the biggest issue that I've been dealing with is the filament um, in the filament buffer that hangs off the side right here will actually break. And so I'll start a print, it hits the brake, it stops. User intervention needs to occur in order to go and get that going. So that's the biggest issue I've been dealing with. One of the things we will talk about today as well is Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest. So I will be going out there, which means I will stream. Technically, I'm supposed to be streaming this Sunday versus this Saturday because I have a hunting mentoring field day that I will be participating in. So this weekend stream will be on Sunday versus Saturday. Okay. And then the following week, which is Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest, I will not be streaming that weekend just because I don't think I'm going to be able to have good enough internet to stream there. I may take some videos on my phone and stuff while I'm out there, but we'll see. So some of the other prints that I've been working on has just been there is a RC Sandy, it's basically a doom buggy. So here, let me switch over and bring up the screen real fast. So the nice thing I like with Prusa is on their SD or their thumb drive, there's a text file. That text file has attribution for all the models that are on the actual, that are the pre-sliced models that are on the thumb drive. So yes, Prusa did make this model, but it's attributed to the actual Prusa person that designed this model. Same thing with the Robo Alpaca. The RC Buggy is actually a 3D sets model, and I'll show you on the model itself, but it actually has the 3dsets.com. It's the lettering on the actual wheels, which I think is kind of neat. It's probably a little bit easier to see on the bigger wheels. So the lettering that's on the sidewall is actually 3dsets.com URL. And in the on the text file that tells you the attribution, it tells you to look at the G code of the first plate, and it will tell you where to go to get to the website that has the instructions for putting it together. But you can go out here and see the 3D set stuff, and all of the models out here are of course paid models. And you will notice that there is a buggy up here. That is the buggy that they use. But it goes through it. We will have build guides for all of these buggies, and it does show you down here where you can go and see the different buggies. So this is the buggy that they have here. This is a full RC style, and what they actually have is a smaller version of it that's pre-sliced in the prints. And they also have this is a specific URL that when you print the first plate, there is a spot on the side of the plate that shows the URL to go to get this. And of course, I've already printed this one plate here in the Galaxy Black. And of course, it tells you here, wait, the axle, wheels, engine, lights, and roll cage should be done in silver. So it's like, well, the body should be done in blue. Well, darn, because I had a full spool of black filament, so my body parts are currently done in black as well. So the way a lot of the body parts will go together is you have these are threaded holes, and parts will in a lot of places go together, and then you'll have 3D printed bolts. I showed the threads, 3D printed bolts. And you'll actually put it on there, and you can start screwing it in by hand. For now, drop both. Give me 1 second. Great way to start off the stream. So just going to put the bolt in one side. That get pushed in. It's really, really. Once again, layer heights for these files are 0.15, printed with a 0.4 nozzle, and these threads go in so easily. Tighten them down by hand, or they do have a slot for a screwdriver. Just get your screwdriver and just screw it down in there. And once again, just like everything else, just tight, don't ugga-dugga it. Don't want to break your plastic parts. Get a nice, very nice printed body. I will probably keep this body. I may print a different color, but all of these parts, they want done in silver. I think what I will do is reprint those in Polymaker Silk Chrome. just to see how that looks. What do y'all think about that one? Do you think the silk chrome will look good on that, or the quote unquote silver parts, or should I try and use silver? And I do have Polymaker silver as well. It's your all's choice. I could go with silver. I don't know why. So Solar 3DP, how are you doing this evening? Actually, how's everybody doing this evening? What have you guys been up to today? Did you start getting your printers back up and running, Royal Nomi? So we've got, this is silver PLA Pro, or we have silk chrome. Which guys, or which color do you think we should use for this? Should we go with the silver, or should we use the silk chrome for those? Hey, Silverback Creations, how are you doing today? Silver would be the left. This is silver. This is the silk chrome. Basically, the parts that we would be printing in this color would be another batch of this, which will be the wheels, roll bars, front headlamps. These will be the axle mounts and suspension. These will be the the air cleaners and the exhaust for the engine. Got two of those in the engine. I believe these are going to be the hubs for the wheel. Screw on and to the interior. They're thinking silver looks better. Okay, so you can definitely do that. Once again, the standard flex and pop and everything, most part is moving right off. So we'll clear that off. Of course, the prints in the back that have the brim stick a little bit extra. Scraping up that. The other thing I have is the been using the plain PEI sheet, but I also have the satin PEI sheet for this particular printer. These are the same exact PEI sheets because it's using the same Mark 52 bed as a Mark III. Hey, Rolls, how are you doing, sir? So you can, it's interchangeable between the Mark III and the Mark IV. It just says Mark III or Mark IV on the sheet based on which printer you bought it with, but it does not matter at all. Same exact size, same exact sheets. So it sounds like everybody said silver. And this is, I really wanted to do this and try one of the Polymakers today because I noticed, what's his name? Uncle Jesse had some issues with his Mark IV printing well, and I noticed that he was not using the Prusa, and I just didn't know if that was an issue with the actual Prusa filament or what have it. Oops. We're just going to go over to filament, say unload, and it'll go through its process. Yeah, he was getting those weird layer lines and stuff, and I don't know if it was just the filament he was using, whether it was, um, wet or I don't know. It was really weird. So far, everything I've been printing has been the Prusa Galaxy Black, which it's an awesome filament. I love it anyway. Now I will tell you that I don't know if they have it in stock right now, but they did get or did put up some more quantity of the April Fool's gravity gray PLA that was hexagon, and I may have ordered 3 rolls of that along with a T-shirt. So I have that stuff coming as well, and oh, Polymaker, is that the marble slate gray? Um, so Silverback Creations, it does not do multicolor out the box, but Prusa's for the longest time has been coming with the dual spool holder. Um, and I don't know why. I mean, it works great if you are doing a multicolor print that's got a it works great if you're doing a multicolor print like this one and you're just doing a color change in a layer line. So you can do like the bottom in black and then switch over to your next color for the actual lettering. I'm just going to keep purging more to try and clean out as we're switching from black to silver. Yes, Prusa has the MMU or multi-material unit. I'm actually running a MMU 2S on one of my Mark IIIs back here, and I found it's easier to move this camera out of the way. So Purple Haze back here, this one has the MMU2 on top of it, which gives you 5 different colors to choose from. Right now, I don't think you can see it, but behind the t-shirt here, I have a vertical buffer system that feeds down here to a rent box. It's got 6 spools in it, with 5 of them loaded up into the That's kind of my setup, and I'm doing multicolor Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Fest signs, and I'm running off 3 of the small ones at a time, and I have a big one behind my shoulder. And so they did come out with the thanks Silverback Creations. Yeah, this is my Dragon Den, but it's my print cave as well as my actual office. So right over this direction here is my multi-monitor setup where I sit down and work every day. So our piece is good, and we're going to do plate 5. It was. So we'll go up to the Sandy Minty Mini. Plate 5 seats. That must be plate 2. You just have the parts. Axles, wheels, engines, lights. Yep, that's the one. We'll go ahead and get started on this. And once again, these prints are coming out very, very nice. Yeah, these prints are coming out very nice. And these are printing, I believe they're all 0.15 for the layer lines. Even if I get it light, it's a nice thing with the Prusa is see the bottom layer. And the probing on the Mark IV Silverback, it doesn't use an inductive probe like the Mark III does. It actually taps the nozzle, and it will only probe the part of the bed that it needs to. So if it is a full-size sheet or part, it will print all the way. But if not, if it was just going to print this one piece, or like what it does the 2 seats, it does it right there. It only meshes this area where the 2 seats are going to be, and will purge right in front of it rather than up in the front off the build area like it always did on the Mark IIIs. So that actually reduces the number of moves and the length of time that it takes to actually get a print started. So I think that's pretty cool. Exactly. There's no live Z adjust because it's using a load cell to probe. So it will actually, right now, it's heating the bed up to 60, and it will when I tell it to actually print. It will heat the bed up to 60 and the nozzle up to 170. So it's doing a homing check. Just have it forward. It's going to do a homing check. And right now it's tapping the nozzle off the bed. And so there's a little bit of, we'll say, a little bit of filament that came out right there. But exactly what it's doing is it's touching the bed and wiping the nozzle real fast to clear out any ooze. And then, like I said, the bed was at, or the nozzle's going up to 170, and the bed's going up to 60. Once it gets there, then it will go and probe just the amount of bed that it needs to for the actual size of the prints. And then it will go through and do a purge line right in front. And the purge lines, I want to say the purge lines used to be about that long. The purge lines are coming out to be about like that. So they're even like a half to a third the size of the normal. So everything it's doing is just a little more finely tweaked. The frame, technically, you you can reuse a frame from a Mark III and go all the way up to a Mark IV, but the back side of the frame is now injection molded versus a plasma or water jet cut piece of aluminum, which allows them to put a honeycomb on the back side, and the the pillars are thicker. They're about 3 millimeters thicker. Also, the Z-axis the Z-axis rods here, the linear rods, are 10 millimeter rods versus the 8 millimeters that are used still for the X and the Y. All of the motors are 0.9 millimeter, 0.9 versus 1.8 motors. So the frame itself is a little more robust. Combine that with the extruder, which is using a planetary gear drive, and the 0.9 motors, that actually works out and allows them to get rid of the VFAs, for the very fine articles. It is using a 32-bit board, and that 32-bit board does come with an actual Ethernet port as well as Wi-Fi out of the gate. It's not the same board that's in the Prusa Mini, but it is all the same technology. It's still a 32-bit board. It still has the it's a fuse that's built into the panel for the board that you would actually have to break off to be able to load a different firmware. The nozzle looks very much like a Revo type setup where the heat break and nozzle is all one piece. So in order to do a quote unquote nozzle swap, you would rotate your cooling fan out of the way. You'll take this cover shroud off. You'll undo the 2 wires for the heat break and the thermistor. And there's 2 thumb screws on the side. You undo the 2 thumb screws and the whole assembly comes out, and you just put a different assembly. Now, if you want to use your I'll say your bench stock of M6 for V6 nozzles, you can still do that. They do have a adapter, which is basically the heat break side that will go into the heat block, and then you can use any V6 nozzles. So if you have hardened steel nozzles that you want to use, or an Olsen Ruby or what have you, you can buy that adapter heat break and still use all your standard V6 nozzles. So that's a really nice setup there as well. And you'll notice, once again, this is the purge line right here. That is the totality of the purge. So it's very, very nice. Reduces the amount of waste of So also on the last stream, my good friend Chewy set up a Discord server for me. So if someone will type bang Discord into the chat, it will now pop up a link to the Discord server. So the bang Discord. And I do have a bang Twitter. It also has a link to my Twitter profile as well. So if you guys haven't engaged with me on Twitter, please go ahead and reach out to me. And if your handle is different there than on Discord or anything else, just be sure to let me know, hey, this is so-and-so. And that way I can know and make those connections. As well as, please feel free to jump out and join the Discord server. And let's continue to chat throughout the days and weeks and months. Um, not just here on the stream, but also in Discord and on Twitter. I know I see a lot of you in other various Discords. But yeah, let's continue to chat about other projects. And speaking of other projects, those of you that followed along for the Rook build, Rollahan has recently released. Somebody did a mod, and he has released some new files for it. There's now a version of the Rook that uses 2020 extrusions rather than a fully printed frame. So it very much looks the part of the bugaboo and the fact that you now have all the printed corners. But he does call for 2020 aluminum extrusions as well as the extrusion, the corner extrusion pieces with the 3 legs that actually mount into the grooves of the extrusion versus just like a corner bracket. So it's the 3-leg corner brackets that are used primarily to hold the frame together. And then you have the printed parts that go on that allows you to use the same exact feet system and things like that. But that looks really cool for people that are concerned about a fully printed frame on the Rook. By the way, Rolls, thank you so much again for taking all of the feedback from the live streams and incorporating those so quickly into the manual, especially as far as changing the order of operations for actually building everything, and some of the feedback that I provided on some of the other aspects as well. I really appreciate how quickly you incorporated those changes and got them back out to the field, to the building. So now that we've got a print started, I'll go ahead and move this off. I will be printing with this the chrome because the temple studs on the helmet back here, I want to do the accents for temple studs on here in chrome. So center parts of the studs here will go in chrome, and the center, his like soul patch here in the center, will also be chrome. And it'll have a blue outer edge. 2 side pieces will be black, of course, for the tubing. And this is a project I need to do some sanding on and go ahead and glue in the other pieces for the ears, the back, and the other accent pieces. And then this is going to be roadshowed, but I will take this to the local gaming shop and show this off. And because they've got a Warhammer 40,000 crew that does game miniature painting out here locally to me. So is anybody out there in chat planning on going to Rocky Mountain Rep Fest next week? And I love how, it does show the actual print down here. It shows your percentage, and as the percentage gets higher, the actual graphic down here will also, start turning more of the orangish red. And then it does say that the print will end Wednesday at 5:30 in the mornings. We're not actually going to see this fully printed, but you did get to see. Basically, it's the same, all the same parts that I just pulled off that plate, like the cage and everything, will be reprinted in the silver. And if you're not going to Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival next week, is anybody planning on going to either MRF, the Midwest Rep Rap Fest in Goshen, Indiana, the end of June, or ERRF, East Coast Rep Rap Fest in Bel Air, Maryland? I want to say that's the end of September, first weekend of October. If so, I do have on the Discord, I did create channels for these events so that we can, chat about our experiences while we're there, or try and set up a face-to-face meetup while we're out there, and just trying to meet up with everybody and see everybody in real life while we're out there. Hey, Westry One, how are you doing, sis? I hear you have a bow that's about as tall as you, so I'm not sure how that's going to work trying to shoot it. But archers in the old days used to be able to do that. So, sis, we've just been chatting, and part of that chatting, got to load up the trailer to go get hay. Oh, okay, you got to go get hay. Gotcha. Yeah, I figure at your stage, you probably should just be having them deliver the trailer out to you, since you've got how many horses now? I think you got at least three, if not more. Probably so they don't just bring you the big, a big trailer of hay occasionally. Okay, yeah, that would be great. Because I thought, so looking at the bow pictures that you printed, like I said, it looks more like what I'll say more of a compound bow grip, but long bow as far as the extension and the ends. And I'd have to go back and look as to whether or not it was truly a longbow looking thing or more of a compound bow design. 12 horses and a donkey. Okay, so you're just getting a few bales. Gotcha. So I was showing off some of the other prints that we did on the Prusa Mark IV. And a lot of people have already seen these out there as everybody's been printing them off just because they're, I mean, who the hell doesn't want to print off a badass rocket? But this thing is just amazing. And of course, it's I think 0.15 layer height, but if I can get it to focus, see some of the layer lines. It's, I mean, that first layer is just gorgeous. Of course, this is the seam on a line seam. But yeah, I mean, that came out great. The Robo Alpaca came out phenomenal. I like how it has like Prusa on the back armor. You've got the Mark IV on the back of the head. And, like the vents coming in through the chest. So you have the exhaust vents. And these are just such pretty smooth prints that are coming off. And this will be the body for the Dune Buggy print. This is actually printed in two pieces along with some screws that screwed that body together. And there's other threaded areas that other components will go into for the whole under chassis. We've got seats printed, we've got the wheels printed, and I printed this plate in black and then realized it was supposed to be done in silver. So right now we broke out some Polymaker silver. And this will be our first print on this printer without running Prusa. And yeah, I'll say so far everything's still printing nice. We'll have to see how this turns out because I noticed that Uncle Jesse was posting, he was having a lot of ugly layer lines. And I can't remember what brand he was using, but it wasn't Percement, it wasn't Polymaker. Does anybody out there know or remember what filament he was using? Lighting's got the window back there that's giving that glare. Window. Let me see if I can't put the a little bit more selective. Lots. That way it's not as functional. You might actually be able to see what's actually printing. Hey, Free Heathen, how are you doing today, sir? Thank you so much for the shout out on Saturday and, you know, the nerd clip. That's cool. We're all nerds here. We like 3D printing and tinkering. Um, okay, 2 seconds. Gotcha. One of the other things that I was doing, Westry, if you're still hanging out there, was on my other Mark threes. Somebody's Prusa that's sitting down here that may have to get, I don't know, auctioned off here. You never know. But on my two Prusas that are down here, I added lights on so that as I'm printing, sorry, as I'm printing stuff, I'll be able to get some additional cameras fed in, and we'll be able to. I'll probably put a dedicated Raspberry Pi up here that'll run different cameras, or I'll use one of my quad-core Linux small form factor computers, and I'll just run a couple of Clipper instances on it with cameras down that I can pull in the feeds from cameras because I don't have IP cameras right now, so they need to be running on their Octoprint or Clipper. Right now, all of my Prusas are running on Raspberry Pi 02Ws. So I really don't have a good way of plugging in a camera to the Raspberry Pi Zeros. But I will have some lights, so that'll make it a little bit nicer to keep an eye on everything. Now, as I can do here is I'll throw up the throw up that camera, and that'll be the one that's it's for the ender, but right now I have the camera actually focusing over on the MMU. Where I've been printing a lot of birth signs on the MMU to take, or excuse me, Rocky Mountain best signs, river, take with me. These are all multicolor. Oh, you made it tweeted me out again? Awesome for you, Ethan. Hey, Chewy, how are you doing, sir? So, thanks to Chewy, if I can get somebody to do a bang Discord in the chat, we now have the Dragon Den Discord server up and running. And if somebody can do that, I will switch over here. And we don't have a lot out there just yet, but I will start getting this laid out. But we do have our rules and announcements. We will, of course, have our welcome where we can say hi to everybody who's coming in. So, hey, Stephen Poole and Rolls. We will have an area for people to put out there what they're printing and what they're making, because those are two different things. Not all of us print everything, but we do print pieces for larger projects, like maybe a death racer, or we're printing some things that we're using in other projects or electronics projects around the house. Hey, Rob Bank, how are you doing today, sir? We're also going to have channels out here for the different RepRap festivals that are going on so that we can chat about, hey, who's going? What are you bringing? If you're bringing anything, if you're going to set up a table, as well as potentially we can set up a meetup one of the days, and while we're out at these conventions, just to say, hey, and get to know each other face to face and hang out. Now, I hear there's some big after parties at some of these places as well. I will have a section dedicated to self promotion for people that are streaming or people that are designing. Maybe you're a designer and you want us to try out some files for you and test some files. You got a cool new thing out there. Throw it out there or direct us. Oh, definitely drop your designs out here and direct us to your printables or your things or whatever, where we can go pull down files and show you all the love and the credit for all your cool designs. Daddy Wazzy's been putting a lot of stuff out there lately as well, along with Solar 3DP and Free Heathen and everybody. So definitely let's support our designers. And of course, I wouldn't have a good Discord if I didn't have a place for printers and printer builds. So expect me to flush that out with content on some of my previous printer builds of both Blue Dragon, Red Dragon, the Rook, and the Bugaboo 210. I will try and capture some of the information and throw out there as well those printer builds. But I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have a new environment out here, and I'm seeing several people jumping out here. So that is great. Continue to jump out here, and let's continue to stay in touch, keep the conversation going, even when we're all not online and enjoying the stream. Uh-oh, did you, okay, so Chewy, you went Tri-Z, is that on your Bugaboo? And were you doing a 210 or a 310? And hey, Rob A, thanks for coming in and joining us this evening. Once again, we're doing some more prints on our Prusa Mark IV, and we're actually printing off stuff in Polymaker silver. I don't remember. Yeah, it's Polylite PLA Pro silver. I was trying to decide if I wanted to print silver, which is what it called for, or the silk chrome, which is, here's the silk chrome color. So I will print some things in this because I haven't decided whether I wanted to use the silk chrome or just plain silver for like the stud accents on the chaplain helmet. Okay, so you got serial number 2 of your Bugaboo 210 build. Okay. And rolls, I never got an answer to that. Are you running one serial number stream for both the 210 and 310? Or are they going to have different serial streams like a boron would? Since really they're just different sizes versus different, say, like models or printer designs. Oh, you're cooking dinner, Royal Nubby? What you having for dinner? I might want to come over. And I know you guys are going to Rocky Mountain Rep Fest, you and BC, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you all in person out there. Okay, so there will be separate serial streams, okay? And how many cereals do you have for the 210 and the 310 now? Are you doing spaghetti and meatballs? I guess that's better than banana balls. For those of you that follow, Royal Nomi has now been on the what is it, the Maker Deck Coffee Hour? It's not Z and Z, right? It was just the Maker Deck Coffee Hour. Oh yeah, I bet banana balls would be good for coffee. Yeah, their coffee talk. Yeah, and that one's just with Pez Liz, right? And then the Z and Z is Pez Liz and Zombie Hedgehog. Okay, you just released the 310 files on Sunday night. And I haven't looked really that much rolls. So the 310 model, is that actually using a 300 by 300 build plate, or are you still using the Ender 3/Ender 5 build plate and just getting more actual printable area? Just Pez? Yeah, I meant to try and get on there today, but yeah, I'll just say today went to hell in a handbasket at work because we got notified that there's going to be another internal reorg for IT, and so we're moving on to a whole different VP reporting structure and everything. So I wound up having like 3 different extra meetings today to talk about that and what the ramifications may be for, you know, FY24, the fiscal year 24 budget planning and headcounts and all that stuff. So I'm actually glad for the opportunity that I'm glad it happened today where I had the opportunity to hang out with you all and just talk about other things. So, okay, so it uses the CR10 24-volt heated bed. So it's a 310 by 310. Okay, good. And I like the fact that you're sticking around or you're sticking with print beds that should be easy to come by and get for relatively cheap, or you're reusing and upscaling a printer that you have today. That's good. I really like that you're doing that. Okay, and your 400 by 400 by 500, is that one of the CR lines, Solar DD, Solar 3DP, or is that a different printer series altogether? Hey, Ian Douglas. Hey, Danny Wazzy. How are you doing, gentlemen? Thank you all for coming in. Yeah, accessible is the key, and that's the big thing. Is if you've got a donor machine like with the 210, you could get one. The parts aren't that expensive to get, and you can literally stop by a micro center if you have one and pick up a brand new Ender 3 bed and a couple of Ender motors, and you're good for that build. Or you can go and get a used machine off of eBay, knowing that you're just going to be using the bed and the motors and maybe a couple other pieces. You're good to start with there. Okay, you unboxed your Mark IV last night, Ian. Very nice, very nice. And what prints have you already run off of it? Okay, Solar, take your time. You know what, Daddy Wazzy? I got the Mark IV. It came in, and it came in on Thursday. It was all I could do to wait till Saturday to open it up on stream. And when I open it up on stream, it's literally pre-built. I set it up on the desk. We unpacked the box. We plugged it in and flipped the switch, ran through the self-test. And the nice thing is one, it always comes with a print on the bed, and they just clipped off the top of the filament, left the filament in there, which is great because the self-test setup basically tells you to make sure you have filament. Well, they provide you the filament. You didn't have to use any to stick in there. And it actually will unload the filament and tell you to put it back in. And all they're doing is testing the filament sensor and making sure that that works. Bada bing, bada boom, done. You know, and you're up and printing very, very quickly. And I really like the load cell and the fact that it only probes the portion of the bed that it's going to use. And the purge lines will go right in front of the print so you don't wind up with a messed up piece right in the front of your bed. And instead of doing a purge line like that, we're doing a purge line like that. So, ah, starting to play with Clipper Probe to print area like the Mark IV. Okay, okay, Evil Diesel. Yeah, I mean, and their code for Marlin and stuff is available. So you can literally go to Prusa's GitHub page and download their firmware and then figure out how they are doing their probing and then mimic that in Clipper or anything else that you're doing or any of your other printers. So you don't have to if I was printing a Benchy on my Ender 5, right? I go, it's been converted to a 0G Core XY now. So I do a home, I do a Z-tilt, I do another home, and then I mesh the bed, then I print. So if I just did the home, the Z-tilt, and then another home, or just after the Z-tilt, did a bed mesh of just the area I needed to, that's going to save a lot of time because that's a 370 by 370 by 350. So depending on what the last print was, it's going to save me a lot of time between prints. Forgot that I had Purple Haze up here. I was like, man, I haven't heard it move. So Purple Haze, which is my Prusa Mark III that you're seeing on the left middle of your screen, that's the one that's running a Revo hot end on it's a full bare mod with a bare EXA running a Revo hot end. And it's got a Prusa MMU2S mounted to it. So I'm doing multicolor prints of the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap logo. I plan on just handing these out at the show since I'm flying in, so I'm not going to have any machines there. Yeah, you can do that. I just have never set it up to where it would only probe the part of the bed that it's going to use. Awesome, Chewy. Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that. I'm sure it's using some like Python code or something probably to figure out what the size is and then standard G code to do the bed stuff. Okay. Yeah, and my Mark III Bear, so purple haze that you see there in the left, it's also running linear rails on the Y, which makes it so much more quieter as well. Right, so I have linear rails on the Y for purple haze, and then my other Bear Exa, which is black bear, which is down on the bottom. It's pretty much the same exact setup with the linear rails, and uh, I got the lights installed on that one with the camera. I just installed the light bar on this one and Mark III, which is just it's Prusa Stealth. So it's just a blacked out Mark III. And I've got the light bar on that as well. So I'll be able to get cameras down here on these two as well soon. So we can start watching those on stream or we can flip around on them. And then my Ender 3 up here in the top right back here, that's the one that I'm going to put the beta trad rack on, which is it's currently an 11 lane MMU. I've got room to add one more, so it'll be a 12 lane MMU. So really, I'm ready to go there. All I've got to do is just figure out how to mount it, or it may just wind up on the bench here and I'll run a couple of loose spools and start testing with it. But it's at that stage. I've already got the firmware on using the ERRF Easy board, and so it's already configured. I just need to do the physical install and connection to the main board and go. So yeah, that's been a couple of the projects I've been working on, and I don't really want to get into anything big before Rocky Mountain Prep Fest. So this weekend, which my stream this weekend will be on Sunday, because I've got my hunting mentoring group on Saturday. So this Sunday will probably be another kind of print and shell, and we'll probably be putting together this buggy. We'll put together the little buggy. Got too many cameras on. And get that little doom buggy going, just to check out this cool little model. And maybe we'll do some Fab 365 prints on something. Check it out. See how. Oh yeah. So it wasn't a Big Tree Tech 1.4 I gave you, Evil Diesel. It was a Big Tree Tech SKR Mini E3 V3. But yeah, you add those in the linear rails, and it gets real quiet, especially when you have linear rails on the X and Y on an Ender 3. And you get off the wheels are pretty quiet too, but the rails work so much easier, and it's far less maintenance on those. Oh, cool, Chewy. Thanks. Thanks for setting that stuff out there for the bed mesh. Yeah, it only probes part of the bed that you use. Awesome. Exactly. And so like on my Ender 5 Plus, my 0G Mercury 1, which is an Ender 5 Plus, it's basically a 370 by 370 print bed. And so with the size of it, I'm doing a 7x7 mesh, and so it takes a while to probe. So if you just go down and probe just the part of the bed that you need to for the print, even better. Yeah, the wheels can be, yeah, the wheels are a lot quieter, but if you go with any speed on wheels, you start wearing them down so quickly. Just found that the rails are nice, and I actually have a set of rails. I also have a set of rails that I just bought that came in, and these will be for the standard Prusa Mark III. That I just need to print files, and I'll put rails on those for the Y. Yeah, so these are just Amazon special rails. They're not like high wind. They're not honey badger or anything like that. So I will need to take them apart, do some cleaning on them, and repack them with grease, good grease. Um, but yeah, these should be just fine. Linear rails. Yep, those will be some other mods coming up soon, and hopefully, I plan on getting. Sound like a dot matrix. Oh yeah, for sure. Running the standard Creality board on that. Yeah, when I first got it running over here, I was this close to just going ahead and putting the silent board in it. And I think you told me, no, don't worry about it, don't add to it, just bring it over. Which is what I did. And then your wife kept saying like, no, and I know within like 2 days she's probably like, dear God, why did I say no? I mean, you'll know that the printer's working, but yeah. So Mercury One is a Core XY gantry system for the Ender 5 series. There's an Ender 5 and Ender 5 Plus, or the Ender 5, excuse me, the Ender 5 Pro. So the 5 and the Pro are the standard Creality Ender 3 bed size, 235 by 235, and the Plus gets you the big chunky boy plate. Okay, Rolls, have fun. Enjoy work. Not really, but have fun at work. Stay safe. And then the Hydra mod is the triple lead screw system, and that will add a vertical linear rail and lead screws on the triple lead screws. So front, left, and right, and one in the back, and then the horizontal arms that the bed mounts to are like MGN9C, like short rails. And you can get those kits from Fabrico, and they're really good. And those come with Honey Badger rails. They're already cleaned and already packed with EP2 grease, so you don't have to worry about any of those. I mean, those rails were perfect, and they have a pretty good medium load preset already. So those are nice. And really, I debated. Like I did the uh, so when I first got my Ender 5 Plus, I started running it straight Crowley just like it comes out of the box, and I quickly updated to a SKR Mini E3V3 board and a TFT 35 screen and put clipper on. Then I went the next step and swapped it over to Mercury 1, 1.1, and did Core XY with it. And got rid of the big electronics box at the base and went to the dead mount components. Um, And I wasn't going to do Hydra because I don't think Hydra is as needed on an Ender 5 Plus, because the on an Ender 5 and an Ender 5 Pro, it's a cantilevered bed. So single lead or single Z screw with two 10mm rods at the back. On the Ender 5 Plus, it's a lead screw and two 10mm rods on each side. So it is very, very sturdy and rock solid. And I didn't have any problems with the Z axis. It was more, I updated the Z axis to Hydra, one to do the fully kit mod, just because why not? I upgraded to a Manta M8P with CB1 module on that. And I have the Z axis sitting over here in the corner. And one of my thoughts was to put it on the D-Bond and use that as a sturdier Z axis for the D-Bond. Still may do that, or I may actually take the D-Bot and basically turn it into a weird size Mercury one, basically. Yeah, the Prusas are awesome solar 3DP. And quite honestly, that SVO6 for the price is it's pretty darn good comparable. I know Royal Nomi and BC, I believe, have an SVO6 and an SVO6 Plus, and those are rocking pretty good. Boron would be nice, but they're, of course, a lot more expensive. And the Focus are okay machines. Um, I know Evil Diesel has one because I got it for him, and he's gone through what, 3 sets of ribbon cables on the X already, Evil Diesel, and kind of got fed up, and he's actually redesigning a whole new hot end for it that will use a standard umbilical, cable loom and a Revo Micro hot end. Yeah, it's yeah. I got one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I would never buy a Focus again after the one that me and Evil have been working on. Ordering a wire harness to make it look pretty, dude, I probably have enough wires here to give you a nice wire harness. Like, seriously, I got you there. We can reuse a lot of the wiring from all the Creality builds. Okay, to the white. So the white belts are the fiberglass reinforced belts, I think. And I think you will run into issues on a GT2 20 tooth or 16 tooth pulley. I think just the bend radius is too much for those, from, if I remember right. That's why a lot of people are not running the white belts. Okay, it's the metal band with the metal belt in it. Okay. Yeah, and I have some .8 nozzles, but I found that I like the 0.6 a little bit better just because I think my issue is I haven't spent the time to dial in a 0.8 well enough. And I'm not liking my print finishes and stuff, excuse me, with a 0.8. But a 0.6, I mean, I've been running a 0.6 on the Ender for probably 3 years now, and I don't even blink. I mean, I run standard 0.2 layer height, 0.4 width, and it still comes out dimensionally accurate for all my printers and stuff. Exactly. So like my Ender 3 right here, so it's running a E3, the SKR Mini E3B3 with Clipper running on a Raspberry Pi 3D Plus. I've got um, linear rails on Y and X. Got a Mic 6 bed with a 24-volt Kenovo pad, a direct drive Sherpa Mini extruder with a micro Swiss all metal hot end and a 0.6 hardened steel nozzle. It's got a panda probe that it uses for bed mesh leveling. Dual Z's. Yeah. And I print ABS with it all the time with a wham bam pop up and close. So, it is a micro Swiss all metal hot end drop in replacement for the standard reality hot end style. And it's it's worked great. Like I said, I've had that nozzle or that hot end combo on it for probably 4 or 5 years, and it's worked perfectly great, no issues. To the point where I thought like, do I get a revo for it? And I'm like, no, I just can't bring myself to take that hot end off because it has worked so well for me. So yeah, interesting. Like I said, my experience with micro Swiss all metal hot ends, like I said, that's the only one I have, but it's worked flawlessly. And I thought, okay, well, I'll put one on the Ender 5. You know what? No, I'll just get a new heat break and a hardened steel nozzle. I put an all metal heat break and a hardened steel nozzle on the Ender 5. And when I took, you know, heat tightened the whole 9 yards, right? Made sure to heat tighten it all. When I took it off to go to the EVA 2.4, yeah, it's now rocking the Dragon High Flow with a hardened steel 0.6 nozzle, and I chucked the heat or the cool side of the Ender 5 hot end in the garbage. I just threw it away. If anybody wants some Creality all metal heat throats, let me know, and I'll send them to you because yeah, no, that because it leaked, and it didn't leak at the heat block. It leaked at the connection to the cold side is where that damn thing leaked at. And so that's why, if I'm gonna do that, I will just buy the whole hot end, and it would get Revo or Dragon or something like that. But I've had issues with clogging on the Dragon Fly, but ever since I put a micro Swiss on the Dragonfly, on the V0, I haven't had a, or I'm sorry, not a Sherpa Mini, and went to the Mini after Sherpa toolhead on my um, V0. I've yet to have an issue with that particular toolhead. So once again, it's one of those things of it's a workhorse. My V0 and my Ender 3 are workhorses and they just work. So it's like to the point where I don't want to touch those just so I know I've got something that I can always print with and recover. All right, cool. So thanks for hanging out. Go enjoy dinner. And if I'm still on when you're done, feel free to come on back. Yeah. 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 So Eel Diesel went through and bought like the huge, like what is it, like the Creality is like 10 or a dozen nozzle pack. And then turned around and bought a Revo CR. So he's running you got Revos on everything now, right? You got the Revo CR for the Ender and Revo Micros for the Delta and the Focus. Yeah, yeah. And I got news for you. I'm running. So of course this is a stock hot end. I don't plan on messing with that. Um, my Mark or my standard Prusa Mark III. I say standard, but it was a self-source build. Is running a Bondtech with a E3D V6 hot end. My two bears are running the Bear Exa with um, Revos. My D-Bot is running a standard uh, Mark III extruder hot end toolhead style with a Revo. Both of my finger wires are running Revos. My Prusa Mini is now rocking a Revo Micro. The Ender 3 Max downstairs is a stock Creality toolhead, and I just haven't touched it. And the Mercury 1, which is the Ender 5 Plus platform, is running a Dragon High Flow hot end. The Rope Mark 1 is running a Revo CR. And the Bugaboo 210 is running a Dragon Ultra High Flow hot end. So the vast majority of the stuff that I'm running is the Revo family. It just works. And I can swap nozzles out whenever I want. That's the one downside of putting the Dragon High Flow on the um, Mercury 1 is it's a standard Mark 6 nozzle, so I can put a hardened steel nozzle on it. But if I want to change from a 0.6 to a 0.8 or whatever, then I've got to do the hot tightening and everything. I can't just pull it out and put the different size in and go. And I now have two Revo, two Obsidian 0.6s. And with them shipping Obsidians now, I should have two more 0.4s and two more 0.6s here probably within the next few weeks. Yeah, the Dragon High Flow still says it's a one-hand nozzle change, but because it's a nozzle going into an adapter, going into a heat block, that goes into a standard heat break, I would still hot tighten it. So yes, it's a one-handed change, but you still need to heat it up and to like 265 or higher, and heat tighten that that nozzle connection. Otherwise, you can get uh, leaking. Exactly. You don't have the block, but you still have to hot tighten it. And if you don't, you'll find out as it blows the silicone sock off if you have a silicone sock on it, because it will leak and it will turn into a hot mess. And like I said, that MMRF when I I put a it was from I think it was Polished 3D, um, but it was an all metal Mark 8, you know, uh, heat break, and I put that in, tightened that, did the whole 9 yards, and it leaked at the cool side of the heat break, which floored me. I've never had that happen. You guys, I just ran through like 16 different printers, and that's the first time I had that happen. I was like, yep, nope, done. Burned yourself too many times. Yes, you did. And the Revo, like you said, the Revo is very simplistic. And now there's knockoff versions that work with the CHC. You know, uh, that E3D V6 that I was trying to put on the bug boot that for whatever reason I could not get filament through. Still, still don't know because the I took the hot end completely apart, and I could see through every part of that hot end to include having it put back together and looking all the way through, holding it up to the light and looking all the way through the nozzle. So I have no idea what the deal is with that, but I will say I now have the standard CHC as well as the high flow CHC, which is the like volcano thickness size. And I'm just going to take that and rebuild it as a CHC V6 so that I can use that in, I don't know, maybe a Bug Boo 310 or something. Who knows? Hey, Stephen Poole, how are you doing this evening, sir? Thank you for joining us this evening. We're just doing a kind of print and chill, uh, just hanging out. We're between projects right now, and I'm trying not to get a new build or project started before Rocky Mountain Rep Fest next weekend. So this weekend stream, unless I pull out of my hunting mentoring thing on Saturday, is going to be on Sunday. So it'll be a Sunday morning stream versus a Saturday morning stream. And if that does change, if I have a change of heart between now and then, I'll let you guys know. But I will definitely confirm and make sure that the Twitch is updated. And I will post stuff to Twitter and Discord now. Stephen Poole, I think I saw that you had joined the Discord channel. So that was you. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. But I will be trying to make announcements all the way around so that everybody's up to date on that. Uh, I do not at this point anticipate being able to stream at Rocky Mountain Rep Fest because if the internet's good enough, it's still going to most likely be very loud and noisy. So we'll see. I may take some video, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, and that's true, Chewy. You can lap the connection and really sand and polish the ends good enough so you can get a better connection. That's true. You've been working on the ERRF? Okay. Okay, good. Have you been, like, do you have it up and running, or have you just been building it, Stephen Poole? Oh, okay. You're talking about a Mike Eagle diesel? Gotcha. Okay, it's built already and you're just working on it. So, yeah, building them is, I'll say, somewhat simple to do. It's the tuning. And for my MMU, um, the MMU2S, the, the most critical thing is to make sure that your tubing is at least 2 millimeter inside diameter, so you don't get any jams with the with the tips as they're going through the tube. And then the other piece is tuning the load length between the sensors. So on the MMU2, you've got the um, they call it a fenda probe. It's basically a fenda probe that's um, as the filament goes through, it pushes a ball up, which will then sense by the fenda probe. So you have a filament sensor at um, the filament changing side, and then you have a filament sensor at the tool head. So watching Chris's basement, he showed me how to get into the quote unquote secret menu of the MMU system. And then you go one lane at a time and you check how far it loads. And I had some that were the load length was short, and then others where the load length was going way down past the gears. And what you wanted to do was make sure that your each lane, each lane is calibrated and coming out to the same point, which should be right at the top of the gears where the drive gears are starting to mesh in your extruder. So that's the first link. And then the next link that you will uh, be looking for is from the gears to the actual nozzle. And once you get those load links set, then you'll start getting a lot easier or a lot more consistent tool changes. From then on, the biggest problems I've had has been filament breaks. But even then, that's been the MMU. So the fenda, the on the ERRF it'd be the encoder on the actual tool changer itself, or the filament changer itself, that will pick up and detect first that the filament change or the filament ran out, and then you can work on that. Oh, you can't even get it to move yet. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've got my trad rack, which is another type of MMU system that I'm in a beta for right now. Similar and reminiscent to an ERRF. So it's got a servo at this end that will lift the motor up and down, and this has the drive gears. And then each lane is just a 623 bearing, and I think it's an M8 or an M10 that holds it into the part, and then an ECAS push fit fitting for each lane. So you still use, I'm using an easy board. So the selector is the selector motor, the gear motor is the one that runs it. And then the servo goes into the servo port. We do use an end stop on this design versus I think ERRF's centerless homing on the one side. So yeah, I'm basically running the ERRF board pinout settings here. but I'm going to have to work through all of the software for Annex Engineering Trad Rack to get that figured out. But from what I've been reading and watching in their Discord on it, those are the critical things, or the load links once you get it moving. And of course, that is a standard ERRF board, which means I'll have to run power connections up and a USB-C cable up from the Raspberry Pi. I did just get in 2 mellow ERRF CAN boards, and I may actually go that route because that may allow me, well, I've got 2 ERRF CAN boards that I may be able to use for other projects down the way. That may include more of those on other printers that I have, or maybe I will do an ERRF build down the road, so I would be able to have experience with an MMU2S, the Trad Rack, an ERRF. I've been thinking about whether or not I approach 3D Chameleon and look at a Chameleon. Yeah, the Trad Rack is an Annex Engineering one. You can go out and try and get into their beta program for it. They showed it initially at MMRF last year in Goshen, Indiana. But they were like, their guys were literally just trying to put it together. And so now they've got the closed beta going on, and they just announced they were opening up wave 4 to the beta. So there's lots of people now that are starting to do the beta. So no evil diesel. I am not going to do dual MMUs and basically a tridex or an IDEX type setting. No IDEX with separate MMUs. But once again, an MMU from Prusa is 5 lanes. I'm already planning. I will get an MMU3 for this and try out so I can compare and contrast the differences in the MMUs from Prusa. The Chameleon is an interesting beast altogether. It's a completely different type of design. What's that, Chewy? So the one I was just showing you, the 11-lane unit, is a Trad Rack. I am just using an ERRF board, but they are coming out with their own board, which I have ordered for it, and it will use a Raspberry Pi Pico that's just a plugin. So yeah, Annex Engineering, I think it's their Constellation series of electronics boards that are based around the Raspberry Pi Picos, so the 2040s. And yeah, they build their own boards, and all of them support, I want to say, up to like 48 volts or 56 volts, so you can run 5160s and stuff for high speed. Yeah, it is a Trad Rack, Chewy. And when I was going through and looking at it, I could talk about it. I can show pictures, or in this case, show the physical unit. I cannot share any of the code, and I cannot share any of the file. That's the limit there. I can show it. I can possibly show it in operation on a printer, but I can't give any of the goods out yet. Yeah, I've yet to see a need for it as well. Now, if you want to run true high speed stuff, then you may be using the 48 volt and the 5160s. You may be doing it on a larger printer, but the K series, like the K1s, what is it, the K3s? I mean, they're running those things fast, and they're running like 8 motors. So yeah, I mean they push wattage on theirs or volts on there. And I find it interesting the people that have gotten the TD Tech or TD Tech or whatever, their new X Max 3 or X Max Plus, um, they're running dual power supply. So their heaters, they've got, I believe on the Cheetah Tech, they the bed and the chamber heater, because yes, they have a chamber heater, are running off of one power supply, and then the other power supply is running the board and the motors. And I'm curious because the spec for the Creality K1 was like 900 watts or close to 1,000 watts. So I have a feeling they're running two power supplies as well. Yes. Yes. And it's funny that they're running to, or they're switching over to those external drivers, because if you start looking at, was it like the SB 3600 or 6300 or something like that? They're like these chunky, like they look like uh, Nintendo cartridges with screw terminals on, right? And it's all the things that I see everybody running um, their NEMA 23 and 34 motors on big CNC mills. Yeah, hopefully a big beefy monster. Yeah, yeah. But that's the one thing I like about the Mark IV here is this case for the electronics is now metal, and there's indentations on this side of the case where my fingers are, um, and they press right up against the board where the drivers are. So there's three drivers right here, and then there's one offset down below. And I think that's the one for the extruder, and then the rest, the X and Y and Z are up here. But this case actually acts as the heat sink for the drivers, so it's passively cooled. There is no or no fan in the electronics. The only fan that you've got is on the hot end and for the part cooler. Oh yeah, definitely. And God's honest truth. If I got one of those, it would probably be the Cheetah Tech over the Creality, unless Creality sends me one. And probably one of the first things I would do would be potentially look and swap out the SSR for an Omron that I got from, DigiKey or something. Because I would make sure that I bought one that I know is damn well a close or open on fail, so that it opens the circuit and does not continue to pump heat into that bed. Well, and the Key Tech has been doing it for a lot longer, and all of their printers have been that enclosed style printer. So I just have more faith that they would do it well versus Reality's bamboo claw, right? Because I mean, you start looking at the Creality, and it's like, wow, it's got lighter. Where we've seen that before. Wow, that extruder and hot end look very, very familiar, like no labs, and everything in that I've seen so far looks like a one for one knockoff of the Bamboo Labs. Except it also looks like it's a CHC style hot air. Oh, exactly. My V0 shut down on me one day. I was like, what the hell's going on? And I was like, couldn't figure it out. And it finally dawned on me. It was taking the thermal layer on the bed. I was like I'm getting a temperature reading, but I tell it to heat up the bed and I get nothing. Like no power flow and it's going nowhere. I was like, oh, that's not good. Ceramic fuse popped. I've never run it over 110 and that fuse rated to 125. So I don't know if it was just the fact that I was running it pretty much nonstop for 3 days. And between the temperature of the bed and the ambient temperature, it got close enough that it just failed over time. Don't know. But that it did its job. It shut off. So all I did was put a new, RTV'd a new fuse on, cut the leads to the old one, and crimped on the new one, put it back in, and it's working again. Now, if it ever happens again, I may have an upgrade, which included a new power supply, because this is the LDO polyamide heater. It's already crimped, already has the leads ready to go, right? And once again, this is the one coming from the fuse. So this is the return. This is the input that goes through the fuse. Okay? And it's got a screw-in thermistor that screws in. Oh yeah. And that's why they said when you get this bed, it actually comes with a new power supply, and you have to do a power supply swap on the printer because that new bed, I think it draws like stupid crazy. But if something ever pops on that other fuse, I'll just do a straight bed swap at that point, and I can use that other one for another rook or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, that film heater is really nice. But hopefully, I plan on reaching out and starting some conversations with various vendors and try and do some face to face while I'm out at Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival. And I don't know if I'll be able to. Oh, okay, real number. Thank you. Have fun chatting with the kids. Um, with any luck, I should hopefully be able to either get some art sponsored for a build, if not a build project that I can build between Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival and MRF that I can then bring to MRF with me. Because right now I'm already planning on bringing the Rook, the Bugaboo, and the Mark IV, and maybe either a Prusa Mini or the V0. So I do plan on bringing several printers with me to MRF this year because I'll be driving up there and staying with my son, which would be a lot easier to do than flying out to Rocky Mountain next. Now a few more people are on. Anybody else going to Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest next weekend? wish. Well, I know Royal Nomi's going because her and BC are going to drive up. No Rocky Mountain for you, Pez Liz? Well, that'd be a little bit of a trip for you, right, Pez Liz? I'm trying to think. You're not in the U.S., are you, Pez? Thank you for swinging in, Pez Liz, by the way. Okay, yeah, you're from Montreal, and Montreal, is that more east? Okay, yeah. So you're gonna try and make it to Murph. Yeah, I was gonna say that's more on the east side than the west. Yeah. So come down for Murph. How about Earth? You be able to make it to Earth? Because I'm gonna try and do all three this year. I'm definitely doing Rocky Mountain. I'm definitely doing Murph, and Evil Diesel's gonna drive with me when we go up to Murph, and then potentially do the same thing, and we might show up at Earth as well. Just trying to figure out the. Okay, you're 2 hours from New York and Vermont. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely like to meet more people in the community. Going out to Murph last year was an awesome experience. Going out and seeing everybody and having a chance to talk with everybody and just get out amongst people and geek out for a while. So I've been to Murph the last 2 years. Um, my son, who lives in Goshen, Indiana, went with me 2 years ago. And last year he was like, nah, you'll be fine. You can go by yourself. He doesn't really get into the 3D printing stuff. Yeah. Let's just see who all we've got. Quite a few people in here today. Great. So Pez, I know you just joined us. So um, if we do a bang Twitter or a bang Discord, uh, you'll be able to see me on Twitter. I think you see me on Twitter quite often. And thanks to Chewy, on my stream Saturday, he set up uh, a Discord server for me. So I now have a Discord server. So I'm moving up in the world, starting to get more social media stuff set up so I can start interacting with everybody more and more. You're gonna make both of them count. Ooh, yeah, that's dangerous. I still have filament that I haven't used that I bought at Murph last year. But then again, it's like carbon fiber ABS, carbon fiber PET-G, which I actually did use to do my to print my first Death Racer chassis. And yeah, that's some good stuff. I even went through and drilled some of the 3mm holes out and snapped the heads off of the M3x50 screws that go into the wheel halves that hold them together because it was just biting too much. So I'm going to, at the very least, reprint those parts in something other than carbon fiber PET-G that I might be able to get screws into without snapping them. I'm actually seriously thinking I just downloaded the latest set of files off of Michael Badley's Patreon site. And I'm probably going to reprint it and do a hammerhead version. Oh yeah, yeah. Like there's a part of me like, do I take an extra suitcase with me to Rocky Mountain just so I can bring back whatever I buy? Because yeah, I am sure I will probably get some type, either a hot end or some extruders or filament or something will come back with. I might have to just look into, okay, can I buy it here and have it shipped? Yeah, no, I hit up Atomic Filament. I hit the KB3D booth like a couple of times while I was out there. Um, got the LGX lights that went on Red Dragon. So that one's rocking a Revo and an LGX light. You had a budget? Yeah, that's what I need is no, I don't. I should not make that sound because I know Mrs. Dragon is home and maybe I'll buy one. There will be no budgets. But I will say I will go to MRF and I will take 4 printers with me, most likely. And I will most likely come back with less printers. I do plan on raffling off a printer or two while I am at MRF. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint, wink, wink. Yeah, and for those of you interested, you realize that Prusa takes things like PayPal, and PayPal has the ability to pay like 4 payments with 0 interest. Same. Yeah, go with 4. And that's the problem is I may go with 4, and I still may come back with 4. Just a couple of them may be different. And I'm seriously thinking of taking this one and seeing it because if Joseph's there, I know he has a tendency to run around with a pen and sign whatever printers are out there. So I may see if he will sign something while I'm out there. No, there will be a couple of the same ones coming home with. In fact, who knows? I may take the baby belt with me along with all the latest set of parts and rebuild the baby belt while I'm sitting out there. In which case, if I do that, I'm assuming I'll probably have to take my laptop and a camera and film it. And not stream it because once again, the internet kind of was spotty and really sucked last year. We'll see. That and hopefully it's not majorly humid because, like Murph 2 years ago, there was standing water on the floor every day because it was so incredibly humid. Last year was great. Last year was perfect weather. But the year before, I mean, there was literally standing like puddles of standing water on the concrete, and it was so humid. It wasn't nobody sprayed it. It was just so humid that it was wet. So what's everybody else up to today? How's your day going, Paisley's? I know you had Royal Nomi on earlier today, and I am so sorry that I missed it. I was in meeting after meeting after meeting today and wound up having 3 that popped up out of nowhere because we got my director notified us today that we're going to go through yet another reorg and move to a different VP. And so, of course, that prompted me to need to have meetings with my team, both the ones stateside and the ones not. Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, you're working on Nomi to get her own show. She has her own show. It's just BC. You know, she's taking over that show. Kind of like Westery One. Westery One doesn't have a show. It's Mia Stream. She just needs Westery One to like get it started. Then she'll smack her hand to keep it off the mouse and keyboard. Oh, okay. You're trying to get her to do basically a daytime show. Gotcha. Well, that's the nice thing is she doesn't work, so she has the time during the day. And I know they're starting to do other things in the community with their prints and with her prints. And has she started painting some of her prints now, or is she just still doing multicolor, multi-part prints and gluing them together? Royal Nomi Tea. Oh, that's awesome. That would be awesome. Oh yeah, and my understanding is they've done a bulk order of, was it Kubine filament? So they do have some that you can get from them, and they are planning other bulk orders in the future. But if I remember right, they're trying to work with Kubin to become a possibly a U.S. distributor for them, which would be nice and add another avenue for some more filaments. Because I'm good with anybody that wants to bring more filaments to market. You know, because yeah, like Polymaker just came out with their metallic red, which is awesome. It looks awesome. I can't wait to print with it. I've got 2 boxes over there. I just need to set up another multi-day helmet print and print because it is going to be for a helmet. And I'm just waiting because it's going to run for several days out on the Mercury One. And let's see, I'm going to Rocky Mountain Rep Fest. And on my way back from Colorado, I'm going to pass my wife in Colorado at Denver Airport as she's coming in to spend some time with her mom, who's about to have some medical procedures done. So that'll give me plenty of time here to run that printer downstairs in the dining room, living room area. Won't bug her through it. Right now, that's where I'll say my big printers are. My Ender 5, or excuse me, my Ender 5 Plus, which is the Mercury One, and the Ender 3 Max are on a table downstairs in the dining room, living room area. And that's where I do all my big multi-day prints from because they're also on a separate circuit and they're on ups. So if I do take a power hit, I'll have enough time to grab the generator, get the generator going, and get it over to the generator. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad to see that she's branching out and starting to do more stuff. Because yeah, she's great, and we kid that she's taken over BC Stream, but she does so good. You know, just on the stream and talking to people on the stream. That's been so great. So, so right now we've been going for a couple hours. We're doing good, and like I said, we're just my plan for tonight was really just a kind of relaxing print and chill, showing off some of the prints. Like I said, I know a lot of people have been showing off the um, rocket engine, and I've been printing some parts for the buggy. But the one I haven't seen too much of has been the Robo Alpaca, which came out just as gorgeous as the rocket engine does that everybody can see. The amount of detail on these models is amazing. Between just the badging of the Mark IV, Prusa, just having, like where the lungs would be, main legs with upper body strength and stuff, having the exhaust and intake vents in those areas, I think just like perfectly placed for this model. Yep. Yeah, there's been so many new colors that are coming out from Polymaker, and you know, none of them are ever, I think, going to replace or even compare to, like Protopass, the blood of my enemy, right? That one is just gonna, that's always gonna be a red that everybody always wants to get their hands on, because it's just so cool. But just having so many different vendors out there with so many different colors that will allow you to do different color combinations are awesome. And yeah, Nick at Polymaker draining your wallet. Yeah, I like I said, I would buy more Prusa because I love their Galaxy Black and some of their other colors, but it's just the cost of shipping it, I think, is what kills it, because one, it's like $50 a roll, it's cool, and then shipping it from over there is crazy too. So I mean, if you get it shipped over from um, printed solid, it's great. But if they're out at printed solid, you have to go back to the mothership. It's just, it's hard. And yeah, I got a lot of Galaxy Black, but it's it's a different finish, right? So this is Prusa Galaxy Black. This is Polymaker Galaxy Black. It is a completely different color, right? Different color, different shine, the whole 9 yards. And I love the Galaxy Blue by Polymaker, right? Or the, I guess, the Sparkle Dark Blue. Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, is there's so many different vendors with colors out there that if you don't like the red from this one, you can always go and get a different shade red from somewhere else that you may like better. You know. Hey Bionic, how are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining in. Yeah, salute. Um, so yeah, and I mean, this particular helmet and this bronze, when it came out, you know, it was amazing. And who knows, maybe I do another at the shut that. Yeah, so this Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine Chaplain's helmet, and this is Polymaker bronze, was printed on the Ender 5 0G Mercury 1. I mean, this thing came out beautiful. And then this cobalt blue from Zaltec, cobalt blue, I think is a good striking contrast because I love blue. So any type of blue I can get my hands on, I love it. Right? And so that color came out awesome. And like I said, I need to do some sanding and some filing to get this cleaned up and get all the accoutrements added onto it, glued on. And then I'll have this helmet, and I may go through and do another one using that metallic red, or maybe a different Space Marine helmet in metallic red. Because I kind of love the Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine type stuff. I just think they're great buckets. Hey, Build Overbot, how are you doing, sir? Doing great. Great. It's been a great night. We're just printing and chilling and talking about MRF and the Rocky Mountain Rip Rap Fest, Midwest Rip Rap Fest, and East Coast Rip Rap Fest. I didn't mention Smurf because I can't get over to Smurf this year. Though I have been told by work that I need to get my passport um, because we do have several members of my team that are based in India. And well, we have some cool offices in some places like Krakow, Poland. And I don't know if you know much about Krakow, Poland, but they actually have a dragon statue in the middle of the city. And because they actually have, like, dragon is kind of like the city mascot for Krakow. So I may have to like go and check it out just because. Because why not? You're working on being able to go to Earth some vacations. Okay. Yeah, like I said, my plan is to try and do all three of those stateside ones this year. And if everything goes right and things take off the way that I would like them to, and I can start getting some good connections with vendors that can at least, I'll say, offset some of my costs to at least um, sponsor a component, or whether it's a hot end or an extruder or what have you, to help with some future builds. That'll be great to allow me to continue to do the builds because I really do like doing the builds, and I'm liking doing some builds like the Rook and the Bugaboo that like everybody's doing a V02 stream. A lot of people are doing um, those are doing like V minions or V cores or all of that type of stuff. I like kind of doing some of these obscure builds and giving people like Rolahan and the Rook and Roll 17 and the Bugaboo, some love in some of these other designs that are coming out. Who knows? Maybe I do another simple core now. Maybe we're going to do some stuff with the D-Bot, and I'll show you how the D-Bot's currently set up and some of the issues I have with the D-Bot design, which is a design from 2017, and how I may take some aspects from various other printers to make that one a kind of a hodgepodge Frankenstein. Oh, definitely rolling them because I mean Rocky Mountain's a drive for you from Texas anyhow, and if you're driving out to Earth or Earth, those are going to be long drives as well. I know me going up to my son's for Murph and Goshen is like a 12.5 hour drive each way. Kind of a good long slug. Yeah, that's true. That is true, some of that. Um, I, so I am definitely at Murph. I am taking printers with me. So I'm not going to have a booth, but I will set up a maker table, which will be on the inside. So what they do is all the vendors that sponsor will be on the outside perimeter, and then most of the people on the inside rows will be people that are just getting tables and showing their stuff, but the sponsors will be on the outer run, both the full outside as well as the inside runs, right? If you ever been to Earth, once again, I'll probably try and do the same thing where I'll take a maker table and see about bringing some printers with me But what I'd like to do is talk to some vendors while I'm at Rocky Mountain and potentially get them, get some people that can sponsor at the very least some parts for another build that I will do between Rocky Mountain and MRF and bring a build or two to MRF. Because like I said, I'm definitely planning on bringing the MRF or the, no, I'm not bringing the MRF. I do plan on bringing the Rook and the Bugaboo with me to MRF. Exactly. I mean, Silverback, that's going to be one of the big things too. Euro 3D made that comment last year, and I thought, wow, that's really good. So you'll get uh, like a lanyard or what have you when you go around to the show, um, and you get a name tag. On your name tag, put your handle, whether that's Silverback Creations or Tesla's or Royal Nomi, Digital Dragon, and that way, because we all look somewhat different in person, even though I know I'm streaming. I have not seen Tesla's live on a stream yet, basically because she streams during the day and I'm always in meetings and can't watch. But definitely put your handle on there so that people see that. And I may go through and maybe have my wife laser etch some business cards. They'll either have a QR code or all of my links on it that I can hand out. Yeah, put your name on both sides because invariably you'll walk up and your tag's flipped around backwards and nobody can see it. Yeah, much different than the text on stream. Exactly. Like you guys will be able to see me, and it's just whether or not I've shaved or not. But you'll see some. I'll be one of the few bald guys running around there. Um, but yeah, me seeing you guys. I mean, I know Royal Nomi from her stream, but you know, some of these others, and I was going to look at the dates. That's why I picked up my phone real fast. Um, so Rocky Mountain is next weekend, the 22nd and 23rd of April, Royal Nomi. And then MRF is, oh dear God, do I not have the MRF dates in here yet? Oh my God. So MRF, I want to say is 24th and 25th, if I remember right. Yeah. Okay, 20. So it can't be the 22nd and 24th of June, Pez, because that's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it'd be the 23rd through 25th, most likely of June for MRF. And then ERRF, I want to say, is at the end of September, right? I guess the easiest way would just be like jump on Facebook and check out their sites. Yeah, apparently I did not have them in my phone yet. So I definitely have to go ahead and put those on the calendar, leave, both at work and here. Just looked at them. Yeah, the 23rd to the 25th, because Friday is set up for sponsors and then Saturday, Sunday. But the funny thing is I rolled in there on Friday last year, and like nobody's stopping you. So I went and chatted with several people on Friday. I'll probably do that again, especially if I'm going to go and set up some printers at MRF. Okay, ERRF is the last week. Yeah, so I thought it was, everybody was saying September, October. So yeah, the last weekend. Oh yeah, Chewy's definitely. I went over there Friday afternoon after I got done with work. But so what I did for Murph the last 2 years, because my son lives like literally 5 minutes from the venue, is I drove up the weekend before, spent the week at his place because I work from home. So I just worked Monday through Friday, and then went out there Friday, went out there Saturday, went out there Sunday in the morning to say hey bye to a bunch of people, and I hit the road because it's like a 12-hour drive back. Well, since Evil Diesel's going with me this year, and my son moved into a smaller place, um, we will probably drive up either Thursday or drive up Friday, um, and I'll just take time off and do it that way. Kind of like I'm doing for Rocky Mountain. I'm actually taking Thursday off, and I'm going to fly out to Denver Thursday, spend the night with my mother-in-law, then drive down to Colorado Springs to see my sons and some old coworkers on Friday, and then go back up to Denver Friday night, and then go to the show Saturday, Sunday, fly back on Monday. Yeah. Okay, and Silverback and Chewy, is that for Rocky Mountain or is that for Murph? So Murph is in Goshen, Indiana. So Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Festival is in Loveland, Colorado, which is, I guess, like kind of northwest of Denver proper, right? Or is it? I know it's west. I just can't remember if it's like directly west or a little north or south, but it's west of Denver. And then uh, Murph is in Goshen, Indiana, and most people will fly into either Chicago or Fort Wayne and then drive, um, and then stay in the Goshen area. And then ERRF is in Bel Air, Maryland. And, I don't know. Evil Diesel, I think, is in charge of trying to find a crash pad for ERRF. Exactly, Chris. And that's the thing is a lot of people will fly into Chicago and then either get a rental or an Uber or something like that down into Goshen, and then from there, I mean, there if you get into the right hotel, there's enough people around there that you can go hang with, catch a ride with. Yeah, I will tell you this: I will not be flying into Chicago, and I may not fly in. So both ERF and Murph are driving distance, and my brother lives in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So I can always drive up there, and I haven't figured out how far it is from there on in. But um, Bel Air is Evil Diesel's old stomping ground. So that's why I've got the hookup for Rocky Mountain and Murph, and then he'll have the hookup for Earth. Okay. Yeah. So in the military, like so I'm originally from Florida. I went to tech school in uh, San Antonio, Texas, tech school in Biloxi, Mississippi. Then my first duty assignment was Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska. Then I went to California or to McClellan, which is now closed out in Sacramento. Then I went to Wright Patterson in Dayton, Ohio. Then Tucson, Arizona, out at Davis Monthan. And then to Germany for 6 years. and then to Colorado. So I keep bouncing back and forth across the United States, and a couple of deployments in there as well. And every single time, they either flew me on a Delta flight, and I swear to God that thing was vibrating apart midair, or they would fly me through Chicago. And every single time they flew me through Chicago, they had me on an hour or less layover, and it was always different terminals between my connecting flights. So I never made a connecting flight through Chicago. And I hate that airport. I would never willingly fly through Chicago O'Hare again. And Atlanta, Hartsburg is just about the same way. If I go into Atlanta, it is a end destination, not a flow through. Yep, that works perfectly, Chewy. Oh yeah. Okay, Royal Nomi, thanks a lot, and sorry for missing your stream today as well as last night, not joining in on you guys. But apparently, last night was Mrs. Dragon's birthday, and it was crazy at work yesterday. She popped her head in and said, "Hey, I want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings for dinner." I'm like, "Oh, cool, not a problem." And I was talking about, "Oh, I got to catch my bot stream on the Kitty Tech tonight, and I got to catch." I think Westry was jumping on for a stream as well, and I got to jump on these streams. And finally, she sat there and she goes, "Hey, what day is today?" I'm like, "It's Monday." "Yeah, what day is it?" I looked down and I was like, "Oh, it's April 10th. Oh shit. Completely forgot about her birthday." So I am so in the doghouse. Yeah, I did remember as we were sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings getting dinner, and yeah. So I'm quasi in the doghouse. So it wound up dinner, and then went up to Lowe's, and I got a bunch of stuff for Lowe's that she wanted for the garden, which means stuff that she'll make me do for the garden now that I'm on the bad person's list. And yeah, actually, Daddy Wazzy, I don't need to build. I don't need to print a doghouse, and you want to know why? Because I had won a redneck deer stand, and it's sitting in the driveway still. Because as soon as I won it and they delivered it, it's a like 3-4 person deer stand with like a 5 foot uh, uh, elevated stand that it goes on, and it's been sitting in my driveway because my hunting lease, the same year I won it, and it got delivered, we got notified by my hunting lease owners that they sold 100 acres of trees for logging. And it's the section that we've currently got all of our stands sitting in. So we had to move all of our stands to the other side of the property. And I am not about to lug that sucker out there and put it out there until they've done whatever logging they're going to do. So that's my perennial doghouse. If I get in trouble, I can go and sleep in that and at least stay out of the rain. It'd still be close enough that I can take my work laptop and get Wi-Fi. But yeah, it's so yeah, I lost out on that one. There's just been too many things going on lately in life. I think I got a little smidge of reprieve on that, but yeah, I'm going to be in the doghouse for a while as far as needing to work on the honeydew list around the house. Yeah, well, if she gets really mad at me, that would be the thing, is blocking me from the dragon and not let me mess with her. That is when I know I've stepped over. Yeah, buy her something nice. Have I told you that my wife is not into flowers because of allergies or jewelry? And primarily because, when I got her wedding ring, she she can't she couldn't wear it because she's an early childhood special education teacher. So she's dealing with a lot of 4 and 5 year olds. So having an engagement ring out there is bad. Because one, they grab hold of things, and two, it's a like a hazard for the classroom. So yeah, oh yeah, spa days. Like today, she went and got a massage, and then got nails done and stuff like that. So yeah. Oh yeah. Well, as it is, like I said, I'm going to Rocky Mountain Rep Rap, and on my way back, I'm going to pass her in the Denver airport as she's coming in. And her mom's surgery is getting delayed because she's got pneumonia, but she's going to keep her trip out there because we don't have good dates to reschedule to. So she's going to go out there. So while she's out there, I have a feeling that she's going to take a retreat to um, the mountains and possibly um, go to some of the hot springs and stuff, probably with one of her girlfriends out there. Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, she she asks, she gets, and yeah, we're we're at a part in our lives where um she says, "Hey, I need some cash," and okay, my wallet's over there. Like, just go grab it and get it. You know, it's I don't even worry about it. We're we made some good life choices, and so she doesn't work now, and she gets actually what she's starting to do right now is get involved in some early childhood advocacy at the state level as well as the national level. Because not too long ago, I um, some things went awry with my brother. She was supposed to go up to my brother's house and stay at his house, and then take the train into Maryland for a conference. And stuff happened with my brother, and I wound up driving her there and back. Well, I take it back. I drove her to Crystal City, Virginia. Sorry, not Maryland. Crystal City, Virginia. Dropped her off, and then turned around and drove back the same day. That was a long day. Um, yeah, no, she doesn't hold my credit cards, but when she says, "Hey, I need something," yeah, I am very comfortable in my role that when she says, "I need my wallet," that means I'm driving her somewhere. Like I fully understand I am her wallet when needed. Um, but yeah, she actually went to an advocacy conference for not only early childhood special education, but also at the same time there was a rally for adult uh, special needs. And she got into early childhood special education because her brother has special needs. And so we deal with it at both ends of the spectrum, both kids with either learning disabilities or we'll say behavioral issues. Normally that's because of some type of broken home issue or um, like she worked at a lot of military bases. So you've got one or both spouses that are deployed at any given time, which really plays havoc on a kid growing up when one or both parents is gone all the time, right? So that can lead to some behavior issues, or there are you know other types of uh, special education issues involved. And so she likes to advocate for things like that, as well as for the adults who have the ability to be valuable members of society if they are given the chance. And it doesn't take much more support to provide them that chance, right? They just need the opportunity to show themselves. So yeah, so she was out there and she got to chat, a chance to chat with some people at because the last day they went to Congress, and she did talk to a couple of representatives there that day, which was very nice. So yeah, she's starting to hobnob with some movers and shakers, which is good. Yeah, she's definitely out there doing the hard fight. So, but yeah, folks, I have heard that she has come back and it's getting close to 8 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and call the stream tonight. Like I said, I will continue to print this stuff, um, print all the parts so that Saturday we can do another kind of chat and chill stream and we'll put together our buggy, which once again is the pre-sliced G-code files that comes with the Mark IV printer. So yeah, we'll kind of do a chat and chill stream on Saturday and maybe talk about not only putting this together, but also what everybody would like to see as the next project, whether it's revitalizing the TiVo Tarantula or working on the new Z-axis or other mods for the D-bot, maybe breaking out the baby belt. We'll see what everybody would like to see. Okay? Thanks a lot, Chewy, for hanging out. Thanks so much for setting up the Discord server. And everybody, let me go ahead and toss that link out there, or somebody can do a bang Discord. If you guys can go out and join the Discord server, I know that we see each other on all the other various Discord servers as well. But just another place where we can cross paths and hang out, collaborate, and talk. That would be great. Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Chewy. Um, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing everybody, whether it's at Rocky Mountain or Murph or Earth. It'd be great to see everybody again soon in real life versus just in live stream. So, with that, I'm not sure. Let me jump over here to regular Twitch just to see who all's on tonight. We do have Moco Made on again. They've been doing several long live streams because they made partner stuff. So they've got their partner streams going on. Babe Ross is always fantastic. I have no idea what paint she's working on tonight. So she is painting. Lucina Craft is on playing Legend of Zelda. So what do you guys think? Do you guys want to jump over to those crazy siblings Moco made and see them? I know they've been doing a lot of different giveaways and they're a crazy hoot. Or if you want something maybe a little more chill, we can do Babe Ross and check out some painting and chat. What's everybody feel like this evening? You feel like something really busy and zany because Moco Made's they've got like 300 people on stream, or you want something a little more chill and it's something where we join Babe Ross with like 30, 40 people. You're already in Moco Made too? Okay, how crazy are they right now? Okay. Yeah, I haven't ran into Babe Ross in a while because she's not necessarily always on when I get done on Tuesdays, and it's very slim on 4 or 10. Okay, so they haven't fully ramped up, or they're kind of ramping down because they've been going at it for quite a while, haven't they? Too. Okay, so let me go ahead and set up the raid. and we will raid over to Babe Ross. All right. And thanks, folks. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and hanging out tonight. And yeah, they're starting to get tired. Thanks for coming out and hanging out. Like I said, it was a little bit of a print and chill. This is one of the few times where I've really chat and talked a lot with you guys rather than, kind of head down working on a build. And it's really cool. It's nice to do that and chat with everybody. So come on with me as we go over to Babe Ross, show her some love as well. If you haven't been over to Babe Ross, she's really great. She does a lot of painting and she talks about different paint theories and stuff like that. It looks like she's doing some type of almost like a almost looks like a post-apocalyptic type of landscape right now. But she's really good and upbeat and awesome. So come on over with me. I'll go ahead and get the raid started. And thanks for joining me. And we will definitely see you all this weekend. I'll let you know whether it'll be Saturday or Sunday. Thanks all. Have a good night.